and bedroom are fully decorated, Simon.
Not too long, Miss Tiny. At least not as long as it's taken Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg to make The Adventures of Tintin 2. Where is it? It's been like 13 years. I mean, I know The Adventures of Tintin 1 is great and all, but it's not like 13 years great. I'm ready for another one. So where is it? Huh? Tell me, where is it? I'm sorry, I'm rambling. In the meantime, we're going to have to use the spare room for studio and comfort-wise. Yeah. Not as big as we're usually used to as Tiny. But I don't have to do for now.
That's alright. The size of a room doesn't matter too much to me.
Always the optimistic one, aren't you? And we got loads of films and TV shows to keep us entertained on DVD and Blu-ray. Like a lot of the old Hanna Barbera cartoons. It really puts me in mind of the fantastic world of Hanna Barbera.
The fantastic world of Hanna Barbera? The pro-climbing block?
No, the simulator ride at Universal Studios Florida and one of the park's original attractions. The attraction opened in the 7th of June 1990 and ran for many years, delighting many Hanna-Barbera fans. It was the first ride to use computer-generated animation with the characters using traditional cell animation techniques and optical composite. And it starred many of our favourite Hanna-Barbera characters, including Yogi Bear, Boo Boo, Dick Dastardly and Muttley, the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo and the Jetsons.
Oh my! That sounds an amazing ride, Simon!
Oh, it definitely was when I was a kid, Miss Tiny. But does it still hold up all these years later? Well, jump in your rockets and grab your bags of Haribo, and let's take a ride into the fantastic world of Hanna Barbera. The outside curio of the ride featured several televisions that showed Hanna Barbera cartoons on a loop, so you were able to see various classic cartoons from the studio, including Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, the Flintstones and the Jetsons. It was a really clever way to keep the kids from getting bored while waiting to get on the ride, and we all know how frustrating it could be waiting to get on a ride. Getting to see old Hanna Barbera cartoons while waiting in line to get inside was great enough. But the greatness was yet to come. Inside the pre-show, Yogi Bear appears pestering guests for food. Then Boo Boo shows up to inform the guests that they're here for an animation demonstration by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera themselves. The two start telling us how they come up with the characters, with the animators drawing different drawings for each character.
Hey look, that's Dick Dastardly. Do you remember that old villain, Bill? I sure do.
That must have been like a dream to be treated by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera themselves.
Yeah, it was as if we could just go up to the screen and talk to our heroes. It was quite an experience. And they proceed to draw Elroy Jetson, who magically comes to life and jumps out of the paper three-dimensionally.
Feels good to be able to stretch my legs.
William Hanna then goes on to talk about how computer animation is now being used to create cartoons, using Dick Dastardly's spaceship for an example. Dastardly and Muttley soon show up from inside the spaceship's depths, requesting that they be part of Hanna Barbera's next project.
I'm as deliciously wicked and unscrupulous as ever. In fact, you should make me and Muttley the stars of Hanna Barbera's next project. I like it.
Shut up and take my money!
However, Hanna and Barbera inform them that the Jetsons are next, followed by the Flintstones live-action movies and the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. In a fit of rage, Dastardly kidnaps Elroy by forcefully pulling him into the computer using the suction of a toilet plunger gun, claiming,
If I'm not the star of your next project, then no one will be!
The computer begins to self-destruct and Hanna and Barbera flee the studios in typical cartoon fashion. Yogi and Boo Boo, feeling they should do something, go into the rocket ship to go save Elroy and encourage the guests to help them track down Dastardly and save Elroy. As soon as the pre-ride show was over, it was off in the rocket ship to save Elroy from Dastardly and Muttley. And boy, what a ride it was! Upon entering the main theatre, the riders are seated in a rocket ship with Yogi as the captain. The power source is a large rubber band that fires the rocket, which is a giant slingshot. The force is so strong everyone ends up going back in time to bedrock.
Rat do-gooders on our tail!
The riders fly off a cliff and through Mr. Slate's construction site before flying into the main city. Yogi and the Viders chase after Dastardly and Muttley through the streets, dodging cars, pedestrians at Bedrock, including Wilma and Betty, and their kids.
Move it, dinosaur brain!
And Yogi ends up chasing Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, who are driving Fred's car, down the street by accident. The Viders fly up after Dastardly into the skies and through a vortex.
This should scare you off my tail!
The Viders end up chasing Dastardly through a cemetery in the middle of the night. And the Viders are on a near collision near the Mystery Machine that Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are driving, with Daphne, Fred and Velma being nowhere to be seen for some reason, leading them into a castle where they encounter ghosts. The Viders fly around the haunted house looking for Dastardly down hallways and corridors, dodging Scooby and Shaggy, who are left hanging on a chandelier when the Viders chase after Dastardly into another vortex. This time the Viders end up going forward in time to Orbit City, dodging flying cars and buildings. It's not long before Elroy's family, except Judy and Astro, who are absent for the ride, appear to see Elroy captured. The family chase after Dastardly and Muttley with the Viders, going through a futuristic amusement park called Coney Skyland. The Viders fly on a roller coaster track after the villain and end up going down a steep drop when Rosie the robot maid extends her arm and lifts Dastardly and Muttley from the rocket, allowing George to save Elroy. Dastardly and Muttley then get surrounded by thousands of flying cop cars and both are arrested and dropped in a flying prison cell.
Muttley, this is all your fault!
The Jetsons thank Yogi and the guests, and the Viders fly back home through the vortex and crash landing back at the station on a giant inflatable bumper reading end. Yogi then gives a rhyming farewell message.
So folks, thanks for joining in the ride.
I'll see you on the outside! Hey!
Getting to travel through the worlds of 3 different Hanna Barbera shows was really awesome back then. And it's still really awesome to look back on today. This simulator ride was quite unique compared to other simulator rides back in the 90s like Star Tours. Whereas in Star Tours you would normally go inside a big simulator rocket and the whole rocket would move about. But in the fantastic world of Hanna Barbera it was just the seats that moved. And that was very unique at the time. And the ride had a whole range of voice and live action casts, including William Hanna and Joseph Barbera as themselves, Greg Burson as Yogi Bear, Don Messick as Boo Boo Bear, Muttley and Scooby-Doo, Patrick Zimmerman as Elroy Jetson, Henry Corden as Fred Flintstone, Frank Welker as Barney Rubble, various dinosaurs, a mammoth and a robot, Jean Vander Peel as Wilma Flintstone and Rosie the Robot, B.J. Ward as Betty Rubble, Cassie Kasem as Shaggy Rogers, Jeff Bergman as George Jetson, various ghosts and a police chief, Penny Singleton as Jane Jetson, and Michael Bell as Dick Dastardly. Since Paul Winchell, the original voice of Dick Dastardly, had retired from acting at this point. So they hired voice actor Michael Bell to fill in the role. And even though you could tell he doesn't sound 100% like the original voice, you can also tell how much fun he was having voicing the character.
Aha! I finally have you where I want you! I'm taking Elroy when you like him!
Rot, Muttley, this is all your fault! Move it! Bad guy coming through! Surprise! You'll never catch Dustin! Rot, Muttley, pull up! No! Move it! One side! Take this! And that! Forget it, Bear! You'll never save him! Going down!
He just does a great job at capturing the mannerisms and dastardly and sneaky and despicableness of Dastardly. And that really makes me wonder why they never called Michael Bell up to voice Dastardly in other projects. I think it would have been great carrying on Paul Winchell's legacy as this character. And the ride was made a few months before the release of Jetsons the movie, so in a way the ride was promoting the movie. And it was also promoting the upcoming Flintstones and Scooby-Doo movies. And it was just great going on an adventure through the 3 of the most famous Hanna-Barbera shows, the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo and the Jetsons. And it comes with all the fun, wacky cartoon antics you'd expect from classic Hanna-Barbera. Even though our mission was done and Elroy was saved from Dick Dastardly and Muttley, the fun didn't stop there. After the show, guests were escorted into an interactive area where they could interact with various technologies geared towards children. It was a fun way for kids to have fun with their own sound effects and making cartoons and voice acting for cartoons. They were also able to meet various Hanna-Barbera characters that were seen throughout the ride, including Yogi Bear, Scooby-Doo, the Flintstones and the Jetsons. It was pretty much the equivalent of Mickey's Toontown Fair, where you could meet your favourite Disney characters in the park. Following this area was a gift shop where Hanna-Barbera merchandise could be purchased. You name it, toys, books, and other merchandises. One of my favourite parts of the store was where you could pick up some various Hanna Barbera toys. Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, Scooby-Doo, Dick Dastardly and Muttley. In fact, the Hanna Barbera souvenir shop from the Fantastic World of Hanna Barbera at Universal Studios Florida was exactly where I got my Dick Dastardly and Muttley toys that I use for Second Co. And I keep them in good condition to this day. And I still hold my Dastardly and Muttley toys very close to me, as well as using them for Second Co projects. As soon as I saw them in the shop, I just had to have them. And I could also remember getting a Huckleberry Hound figure, but I think he's somewhere up in the loft.
Wow! Getting to be part of your favorite cartoons? Experiencing the life of a cartoon maker and a gift shop with Hanna Barbera souvenirs? Sounds like this is the best ride in the world!
Yes, it was, Miss Tiny. It was one of the best rides of my childhood.
What? What do you mean, what?
Well... The ride officially closed on the 20th of October 2002 and was replaced by Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast, featuring Nickelodeon's Jimmy Neutron alongside characters from Rugrats, Hey Arnold, The Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob SquarePants, and other Nickelodeon cartoons. Before I read into those facts about the closure of the Fantastic World of Hanna Barbera, I always thought it was because of the death of William Hanna, since showing deceased people on the TV screens for a ride might not be great looking back at it. But it was to do with the fading popularity of Hanna Barbera cartoons at the time, and the growing popularity of Nickelodeon cartoons. Yeah, I really did think that its ride originally closed because of William Hanna's death not long before the ride closed, but it was actually due to the fact that the recognition of classic Hanna Barbera characters was slowly dropping over the years, and most kids from that generation probably wouldn't recognise or know any of those characters. And even though I find it a damn shame that the ride closed and was replaced with a Nickelodeon cartoons ride, I do get why they did it. Nickelodeon cartoons were at the height of their popularity at the time, and since Universal Studios in Florida already had Nickelodeon Studios attraction for kids, it made sense to use Nickelodeon characters to replace the Hanna Barbera ride.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry to hear about childhood favourite from yours ended, Simon.
Yes, it was such a damn shame, Miss Tiny, that such a great ride had to close. But its legacy still lives on to this day. In 2006, Paramount Parks acquired a license to this simulator to use for their parks, such as Canada's Wonderland. After the license expired, the ride was replaced by SpongeBob SquarePants 4D. The film was also shown at Kentucky Kingdom with its original name and the park at MOA as a final film rotation in the Mystery Mine Ride Theatre under the name of Yogi Bear's Rescue. It was also at Dollywood for Kid Fest 2007 in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee under the name Yogi's Wild Ride. And it's gained quite a popularity over the years, with many videos popping up on YouTube of the ride, talking about the history of the ride, showing the pre-show, the actual ride itself, and the gift shop and attractions after the ride. So it's needless to say the Fantastic World of Hanna Barbera has become one of the most popular discontinued rides over the years, being remembered by many fans for its Hanna Barbera classics, its fun cartoon antics, and its just all around greatness.
I'm so glad it's gained a cult following years later, and that fans are keeping the memory alive.
Yeah, that just shows you that the fandom is a very popular thing indeed, Miss Tiny. In conclusion, the Fantastic World of Hanna Barbera was one of the greatest rides of Universal Studios Florida in the 90s. If you weren't lucky enough to catch a ride on this 90s classic ride, you can still see videos of it on YouTube, and there's various articles about it on the internet talking about the ride. So even if you can't ride it like you would have done in the 90s, you can still experience what was one of the greatest rides of all time at Universal Studios in Florida. All in all, it's just an amazing tribute to the Fantastic World of Hanna Barbera, and you'll definitely want to check out all the memories that everyone had riding this ride. It was definitely one of the greats. I'm Dalek44, and I'll see you next time, folks.
Goodbye, everybody. Talking about Hanna Barbera makes me want to watch some cartoons.
Me too, Miss Tiny. This trip down memory lanes made me want to watch Hanna Barbera as well. How about we watch Dastardly and Muttley in their flying machines? That's one of my all-time favourites.
Oh, I love that show. Can we watch the special features too?
Oh, definitely. I love watching behind the scenes of my classic shows.